Hi, I'm John Greaves III. I'm the founder of Garage Gym Life, and I left this barbell loaded to my last work set of 378.5 pounds because I wanted to talk to you guys about the value of slowly increasing what my brother and I call walking around strength. Before I get into that, I want to assure you guys who normally come to our channel on Tuesdays looking for our latest product review that we're still doing those. In fact, my wife Naomi and I just finished an unboxing that you can watch right now if you are a paid monthly member of this YouTube channel. That video link is going over my head right now, so if you are a member of the tribe, you can click that link to go watch that unboxing. And if you are a channel subscriber who is not a member of the tribe, you can click the join button, which is located in the same place that you normally would find the subscribe button. If you don't see a join button and instead you see a subscribe button, then I would love for you to click that subscribe button, especially if you've watched content on this channel before and liked it. Not only does it help the channel grow, but it also tells the YouTube algorithm that this is the kind of stuff that you want to see more of on YouTube. So it'll benefit you as well. And definitely hit the notification bell while you're at it so you're notified whenever we have a new video upload or we go live. So in any case, next week, we're going to have a brand new product review for you to watch. But today, I was doing some squat singles and I got the idea to do this video because of something that I hear home gym owners say all of the time when they're deciding what kind of power rack they need to get. So the conversation normally goes like, I know it's not the sturdiest, but I'll never be able to lift X amount of weight, so that power rack should be fine for me. Now, I realize that a lot of times this is just what people say because they want to justify cutting costs by getting a low budget power rack, but there are other people who genuinely believe that they'll never get stronger, and so it doesn't matter how durable their equipment is. Now, this video is not about what kind of power rack you need to get because I, as well as other content creators here on YouTube, have put plenty of videos out there to help guide you towards getting a power rack that is safe for you to use and that will fit whatever your budget is. Instead, today it occurred to me that we should talk about the concept of getting stronger and, more importantly, why it's okay for you to want to get stronger as a result of your training. In fact, I think every home gym owner should set getting stronger as one of their goals. Before I go further, let me say this. I feel like there is a separation among home gym owners between people who compete in some sort of strength sport and who want to get stronger because of that sport, and people who are home gym owners who do not compete. The members of that second group who don't compete in a strength sport are typically people who are training so that they can, quote, stay in shape. So I'm talking to the second group because the first group already has motivation to get stronger. After all, they want to do better in their chosen strength sport. So they don't need to hear from me. No, today I'm talking to the people who say things like, I don't care about lifting a whole lot of weight, I just want to stay in shape. Or nobody cares about how much I can lift, I just want to look good and keep up with my kids. Those people are the reason for the growth in the manufacturing of bumper plates because if you're not lifting a lot of weight, it just looks better to have bumper plates on the bar because they're thicker, take up more space. Now, before you tune me out, understand that I'm not here to shame you. After all, I'm not as strong as I want to be either. I just told you I was doing squat singles with 378.5 pounds, and I don't think anyone who's doing squat singles with less than 400 pounds has any right to shame anyone. For that matter, if I were doing squat singles with 600 pounds, that still wouldn't give me the right to shame anyone else for how much they lift. What I want to do, though, is hopefully change your thinking about the pursuit of strength by challenging you to get stronger in terms of your walking around strength, your everyday strength, not your one rep max strength, not what you can do after a 12-week training cycle where you're focusing on increasing the most you can lift one time, not even what you could lift once after a thorough warm up and a full weekend of rest as the final set during Monday's weekly celebration of International Chest Day. No, I'm talking about aiming to get stronger in the amount of weight you could handle with as little preparation as possible. And it's just like, are you serious?
Chris?
Okay, so what I'm saying is, this is the strength that carries over the most to everyday life. It's also about the amount of weight you can do on repeated days without injuring yourself. So, for example, as a reviewer, I like to test barbells by deadlifting 500 pounds to see how much whip they have. But I can't always wait for my deadlift day to test a bar that I need to review, and I don't want to screw up my training or hurt myself doing a review. So, I hope that makes sense from a practical standpoint. Everyday strength isn't necessarily something that you can train for by doing higher repetitions either, in case you were wondering. Yes, aiming to increase the amount you can handle before reaching momentary muscular fatigue is an important goal, but what I'm talking about is training to increase what you can pick up one time without warming up. You might think that that's silly, but let's say your buddy needs help moving a couch into his house. You're not going to move the couch inside the house, rest, then take it back outside, rest, and repeat again until you've done 3 to 5 sets. Or what if you need to pick up a box at work and put it in the back of a truck just one time? Or maybe something fell between the refrigerator and the wall, and you've got to move the refrigerator, get whatever it is you're looking for, then put the refrigerator back. All of these are situations where you would not typically warm up, and you're also not going to do repetitive actions in that way. You're being called up to pick up or move something once, maybe twice at the most, and you're done. Quick story. When I was in my early 20s, my buddy Eddie asked me and another friend of ours to come over to help him move. One of the things that needed to get moved was a dresser full of clothes. Not the long style, but more of the high boy type, as my wife calls it. So I'm standing there with our other friend, and we're discussing how best to pick up this dresser to carry it into the house. And while we're standing there talking, Eddie walks in between us, picks up the dresser by himself, and just carries it inside, leaving us standing there watching him and feeling slightly embarrassed because we were overcomplicating things. That always stuck with me. Not only that Eddie was able to do it, but that he knew he could do it because of his training. See, Eddie never really maxed out in the gym, but I did see him doing a lot of heavy singles in the gym. In fact, the reason why Eddie never maxed out is because he had a previous shoulder injury that made it difficult for him to hit a true 1 rep max. But he could still do repetitive singles of a weight that was reasonably heavy for him. And over time, the amount of weight that Eddie was able to handle with those heavy singles was steadily increasing. So when Eddie saw that heavy dresser, he knew he could pick it up and carry it inside without even having to think about it. Whereas me and the other guy didn't have that confidence, even though we were both also in the gym working out. But we were using weights that we could handle for between 8 to 12 repetitions. Sometimes we even train to failure so that we could get that lactic acid burn and feel good about ourselves. And we had a great workout, even though year after year, the amount of weight that we were handling wasn't really increasing. And we're pretty much looked the same year after year too, whereas Eddie's physique continued to be more and more muscular and dense even as he got into his upper 30s and 40s. And all this was drug free. So I started changing the way I trained. And although in the beginning the amount of weight I was handling for singles wasn't really impressive because my body wasn't used to it, over time the amount that I could handle started to increase. Once again, I'm not talking about the most you can lift one time and you're done for the day. No, I'm talking about building your tendon and ligament strength and optimizing your nervous system by training yourself to hit single reps of a weight that is heavy for you. So, for example, instead of 1 set of 10, just for example, you might do 10 sets of 1, which is essentially the same volume, but you'll find that you could handle more weight with 10 sets of 1 than you can with 1 set of 10. And you'll find that after about 12 weeks of training that way, the amount of weight that you can handle, even in everyday life, will have increased along with your confidence. Now, if you've been training with higher repetitions or even moderate repetitions in the 8 to 12 range, you'll also probably find that your ability to maintain core tension would have improved. And you'll probably also improve your technique in whatever lifts that you're using this technique on, because it's easier to maintain your technique for one repetition, even if that set is repeated multiple times, than it is to maintain tension and your technique over the course of 10 or 12 repetitions. As for how to do this, there are any number of ways. If you're training a structure like mine with a main lift and then assistance movements, then you could make the heavy singles your main lift. You could also make the heavy singles part of your warm up. So you could warm up the way you normally do, but then instead of going to your working set, you would do maybe 3 to 4 singles that are, say, 10 to 15% heavier than the amount of weight you're going to use for your work sets that day. You'll find that if you're smart with your rest periods, that when you get to your work sets after doing some heavier singles, that the weight on your working set feels lighter because your nervous system has been primed. Powerlifter and physique coach Paul Carter calls this an over warm up. You could also do your work sets, and then after those are completed, add 10 to 15% and do some singles there. The way I prefer to do it is by using a 90% training max and training at percentages of that training max. You might be familiar with this concept due to its use in training programs like 531 and the Juggernaut method. So if I'm doing 85%, for example, that's actually like 75% of what I can handle if I were to get plenty of rest and work up to a 1 rep max. So when I did singles this morning at 378.5 pounds, that was nowhere close to being so heavy that I was risking injuring myself or frying my nervous system and making myself useless the rest of the week. I won't even be sore after doing this. But training like this occasionally has nudged up my capacity to lift something one time, and it's also increased the amount I can do with as little preparation as possible. As you can see in the video that just popped up on screen, I'm not hyping myself up, and if I were to turn on the sound, you would hear that I'm not layering loud, aggressive music, definitely not on a Sunday morning. I was actually listening to a podcast.
Brandon Ayuk, I can see the release, even though I would probably throw Terry in there as well. Terry's release was crazy this year on some of those routes he ran. And then Brian Thomas got the explosive speed. Even though all of those guys are really fast, Brian Thomas is probably the guy that's like on a slight another like level from everybody else in that list. Also, before we get up out of here, I do want to let y'all know I saw something about the NFL maybe thinking about banning or at least nerfing the tush push that the Eagles just absolutely love. Now, it'd be great if they could nerf it or ban it before the Super Bowl, but it's like an all-season type of thing. We'll see how it may affect the 2025 season. Either way, though, Fox's Mike Carrera, the former NFL officiating czar, says he thinks the Commanders' repeated offside infractions on the goal line sequence during the NFC title game could lead to renewed consideration by the NFL and competition committee for banning the Eagles push the quarterback sneak. Mike Carrera said, I think there will be a conversation. I think what happened in that championship was ugly. I think with the ugliness of that they'll take a further look at it. I think it'll continue being looked at. That maybe somewhere.
Anyway, you can see I'm just sitting there calmly drinking water, and then when it was time to go, I stood up, pulled up my knee sleeves, put my belt on, and did a single. And this was, again, first thing in the morning, which isn't even when I normally train, so I definitely wasn't at my best from a nervous system standpoint, but I did get stronger today, and without impacting my training the rest of the week, and without taking away from my ability to do any chores I need to accomplish around the house. As I said, I won't even be sore, but I will be stronger. Anyway, like I said, there are lots of ways to increase your walking around strength, but the most critical component of it is you have to be willing to get strong. And that willingness is normally preceded by you recognizing the benefit of getting stronger as it relates to your everyday life. We all joke about being able to carry in all the groceries in one trip, but that is a benefit of being stronger than you were before. And who doesn't like the confidence associated with being able to pick up something without straining that you couldn't even budge 6 months before? Anyway, I've rambled on long enough, but I just want to close by saying I'm not the strongest person I know, but I am the strongest person that a lot of people know. And I would love it if you could say the same thing too.